Welcome back to the VIE Media channel. My name is Eric Brown. Thank you for tuning in. As always, this is another Marketing Monday episode. Please, if you like this content, like, review, subscribe, leave a comment, share with someone that may find this stuff useful. Today, what we are going to talk about is a message. What is your business message? What is your differentiating factor? Why should someone use you over another type of business? So, obviously we work, maybe not obviously if you haven't listened to this before. We work with, you know, companies in a lot of different industries. One of the largest industries that we work in is home service companies. So, a construction company. So if that's a custom home builder, if that's a remodeler, if that's a roofer, electrician, HVAC company, plumber, blah blah blah. That is, probably about 50% of our clientele currently. And the biggest issue that I see when it comes to before you're even building out a marketing plan, before you even start advertising, before you start spending money on anything, is it's really what's your message that you're trying to get across? Why should someone care to use ABC roofing over XYZ roofing? Realistically, most of the roofing companies are going to charge a similar amount, right? Most of the time, they're going to be using very similar materials. Most of the time, they're going to be putting that through insurance. Most of the time, all of the websites look exactly the same. Most of the time, the content is written exactly the same. Uh, so there's really not a when you go to an HVAC website or roofing company website, there's usually not something there besides, saying, hey, we'll get out to your house in 24 hours. We have emergency repair. Why Why should they choose you? What is your company going to do differently for them? What is your story as a business owner? What can you turn into a story as a marketing executive at a company in order to tell a story to those people that are potentially going to use your company that is going to be relatable and actually get someone to take a decisive action, excuse me, decisive action in order to use your business. And I think there's really a few things that you can do. Number one is to sit down and honestly think about why you started the business in the first place. And don't think about it from a standpoint of I wanted to work for myself, or I want to make a bunch of money and be rich, or whatever the case is. Think about realistically, why'd you want to do that? Does it stem from some sort of childhood memory? I'm not talking about some sort of bad childhood memory, or maybe that's the case, or that you used to be, you went to jail and XYZ. Um, what makes you different? Why would someone want to go ahead and actually use your type of business over the competitor down the street? So you want to have a narrative, you want to have a story, right? So if that story, and I think one of the big, one of the huge things is being a family-owned business and really kind of pushing that and talking about how, we haven't sold out to a PE group. We're not just a bunch of guys in suits looking at the P&Ls and being like, "Hey, we have too many five-star reviews on Google. That means we're not upselling our customers enough because we're not pissing them off enough to leave bad reviews." And yes, this is a thing I just heard about last week. Um, it's providing the service and actually caring. Why do you care though? Do you have a story of why you care? Does it go back to your dad or your uncle being an HVAC technician? Does it go back to when you grew up, you saw family members or friends in the trade, um, or whatever business type that you're in? Is it that you had a calling to do this type of work? And what is that calling? Why are you doing that? Um, because with VIE Media, I think there's a few good stories that we can kind of base a lot of our, successes on that really kind of makes us a little bit different than most marketing agencies, which is, the formation of our business, VIE Media. Um, And that was simply we were all 21 years old sitting in a conference room at 270 in Manchester, and we were talking about how to start businesses and what we wanted to do with our lives. At that point, we were kind of doing some basic marketing on the side, but we were like, hey, if we're really going if we're really going to be able to build businesses successfully, one thing that we need to know how to do well is market. Garrett and myself, Garrett more so had a lot of experience, previous experience in sales, building teams, things like that. I was sort of new to the business field, but I had been in sales, I think probably a year and a half or 2 years at that point, and had a good amount of responsibility at that job. So I kind of went in head first, really into the business world, whereas previously, up until kind of that point, I was doing umpiring and working at Breadco and working landscaping and working at a golf course and et cetera. So we were sitting in that room. We all wanted to be business owners. We all wanted to learn how to market in order to eventually start other businesses off the backbone of VIE Media successfully, which we did. And the reason that we did that is we saw how much success we were having with our home service clients. And we were like, shit, we should just do this ourselves. And we did. And we now have multiple successful contracting businesses here in St. Louis. Of course, main one I talk about all the time is West County Insulation here. If you need insulation, reach out to them. Um, but that's really a big differentiating factor. A lot of marketing companies are either large conglomerates or like one man bands, sitting on a laptop and, outsourcing all their work to who knows where and selling you on a contract. Um, our main goal was to really be able to successfully grow businesses with the skills that we have at VIE Media, and we were able to do that. And we started our own, and our additional businesses with our own money out of VIE Media by doing exactly what we do for our clients. So we're like, not only do we have a model for our clients, but we have case studies of our own businesses that we run. And I think that's, a pretty big differentiating factor when you're talking to marketing agencies because it's not like, hey, we don't only do this for our clients, we put our money where our mouth is literally. And we started our own businesses off the backbone of VIE Media by investing VIE Media's money into those businesses. So not only did we do it, did it with our own money. We're like, let's do it. Let's take a risk. Let's take a swing. We've been talking about doing this for years. We see a lot of success with our clients right now. Let's go ahead and take this step. And I think that, that story is powerful especially when I talk to, prospects or clients or referral partners or just people in general about what we do. We kind of have a strong, origination story behind it. And it really goes back to all of us sitting in a room, like-minded, and really wanting to grow something and build something special. And really wanting to do right by our clients, which of course, it's not only marketing that we have that issue of, clients and business owners getting screwed by shitty products, shitty services, and of course, a lot of those businesses not caring about the service being offered at the end of the day. So figure out what your story is. And there are multiple people here in St. Louis that can help you with that. If you need help with that, reach out to me. I have a great guy you can talk to that'll really be able to help you kind of craft this because you have it more likely than not. I think I've only met a handful of business owners where I'm like, oh, you literally, and I'm sure someone else could have helped, but it's like I can't even craft a story out of this. 99% of the time when I'm talking to business owners, there's a legitimate reason why your product is different. And maybe it just comes down to the product itself or the service itself and what you found in market research and really what makes you guys different. And maybe you are absolutely different than everyone else in your field, and that's even better. But for a lot of us, there's a bunch of marketing agencies, right? Realistically, at the day, what makes us different? I think that's one of the big things that makes us different is not only do we work with clients, we successfully built other businesses off the backbone of VIE Media and the services we directly offer our clients. We didn't do anything special, secret, black hat or anything like that. We specifically followed what we do for our clients, and we already knew it worked. So we're like, great, let's put this to work. It worked for West County Insulation, great. And it's worked for other businesses as well that we have started here in St. Louis. So craft a narrative, craft a story for your business, and then you want to be able to utilize that story across marketing avenues, right? Across your landing pages, across the content you're making for social media, across your website. You want your marketing materials to not look like everybody else in the business. So I say you don't want to look like a home service company owned by a private equity group because they all look exactly the same. And if you go through trade companies right now, trade service websites right now, you will find the exact same thing that I'm talking about currently. So have a differentiating factor, build a story, craft a narrative, and be able to use that message across all of your marketing platforms. You will be glad that you took the time to do so. I promise you that. And maybe it takes a long time to get that process through to all of your marketing materials. But what you can immediately do is instill that in your sales process, and be able to have a better story and craft to be able to tell, potential people that are going to work with your business, right? Consumers like to know these things for the most part. Some people don't care, and that's fine. Um, but a lot of consumers want to know about this kind of stuff, right? They want to know, like, for example, West County Insulation, they want to know, yeah, I went to Eureka High School, right? I grew up here in St. Louis. All of my employees are from here in St. Louis. We support local businesses. We work with local companies, right? We support local. And I think that's becoming more and more important as it should be, because we should want to support locally owned businesses and not just large conglomerates, chains, etc. And I'll say that for even some of the franchises as well. A lot of franchises in the home service space, at least, are owned by individual operators. So, they're not the bad guys. Um, but with that being said, so think about what I just said. Think about kind of the story and the craft, that we tell people about VI. Think about that. Think about how you can implement something like that in your business. And like I said, if you need help on this, reach out to me. I'm more than willing to help. No, I'm not going to charge you. Just talk to me, and we can go back and forth and have a good, conversation about crafting a story. And if you do want to pay for something like this, I have the guy to talk to. So reach out to me. He kicks ass. And he's a great guy. He's also located here in St. Louis, of course, as well. And just obviously, we have a lot of people listen outside of St. Louis. So just because you're not in St. Louis doesn't mean, he or, of course, we can help you in your business. So if you're a marketing executive, if you are in marketing, if you're a business owner, if you're C-level, if you're in operations, et cetera, please comment, like, share this video. I think it's super important to, make sure that your business has something like this in place. Because, like I said, almost all businesses do have a story. A lot of the time, they just either don't know they have the story, they don't know how to implement it in a way that makes sense, that can actually be useful to help grow their business. So, as always, that's been another Marketing Monday episode. We appreciate everyone's support. Please like, review, subscribe, comment. If you want to talk to me, you can reach out to me personally at Eric Kempf Brown across all the platforms. Of course, message the St. Louis podcast. You'll talk to me, or excuse me, message VIE Media. You'll talk to me there as well. You can go to our website, vi.media. You can type in VIE Media on Google, check out our reviews, go to our social media page, see what we're doing, see what we're all about. Of course, we got a ton of content on this channel as well. We're now distributing this content to not only YouTube, but Spotify and a bunch of other places too. So you'll be able to listen to this wherever you actually listen to podcasts as well. So that's all we got. Think about what I said, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you.